Are you staring at your computer or your instrument with no clue what to make next? Finding that every melody that you write sounds the same? Trust me, we've all been there. In this video, I'll share 6 quick tips to help you beat writer's block and kickstart your creativity so you can get back to making that heat, fire, bangers, fire emojis. First of all, it helps to recognize that feeling stuck is completely normal. Every musician and every producer goes through it. Sometimes your brain just needs a new stimulus or a fresh approach to spark that creativity again. Nowadays, we actually have a lot of tools like Splice that have song starter loops that aim to help spark ideas. But the problem is everyone else has this exact same loop, and most likely it's already styled in the genre that you're looking for. And that can make it difficult to change it up or make it into something new. And that brings us to our first tip. Instead of listening to pre-made loops, listen to old and rare music. Now, I'm not talking about sampling here. What I want you to do is dive deep into older tracks, anything from classic rock to vintage soul, even old school hip hop. Not only do you get exposed to chord progressions and melodies you never thought of, but you can also use something that I call creative interpolation. Traditionally, interpolation in music is just replaying a previously recorded idea. But with this method, we're fully reworking a chord progression or idea into a brand new context that's completely different from the original. A few years ago, I released an R&B funk song called Something About the Night, and it did pretty well. It got on a few playlists, I sold hundreds of copies of vinyl. Now at the time, I was really in love with this song called Give Me the Night by George Benson. Just give me the night. And I wanted to write something like that, something fun about going out into the nightlife and just having a good time. But I knew I had to come up with a different chord progression. And then I came across this Pokemon song. So I absolutely fell in love with this progression. I thought it was so beautiful. And so I wanted to see if I could make it work for the song I was trying to write. So the first thing I did was I changed the key and I dropped it down 1 semitone. But I knew I couldn't use that melody. So what I did was I took the melody off and I replayed those chords on my Fender Rhodes to give it a more R&B sound, and got this. But that wasn't enough. I wanted it to have more of a funky, rock with you, night out on a town kind of vibe. So then I added some funky guitars and a funky Fender bass line and got this. And from there, I added some synthesizers, a nice drum groove, and before you know it, this Pokemon song just became an R&B funk record. Now you can do this with any genre. Let's say you're not into funk and you want to make a trap, soul, R&B record. Let's try that. So let's grab Serum. Now I know what some of you might be saying. Jay, I don't do R&B. I don't do trap or nothing like that. I want to rock out. Got you. So if you listen to my version, I have a woman singing on the chorus. It sounds really pretty and disco. Something about the night makes me come alive. But if we do the rock version, something about the night makes me come alive. Something about the night makes me come alive. Moral of the story is, it works in any style of music. So you see, this style of interpolation isn't about copying exactly. It's about drawing inspiration and reimagining something classic in your own style. It's an amazing jumpstart to your creativity while keeping it all your own. Tip number 2 may seem simple, but this is something that I missed early in my career. Collaboration and feedback. See, when you've been working solo and by yourself for too long, you can get trapped in your own habits. So sometimes be sure to bring in a friend, even if they're not a musician or a producer. I've had some great ideas from just casual people who just like listening to music. Or you can do a session with another producer and swap ideas. A fresh set of ears or an outside opinion can help you see angles that you didn't see before. Recently, I got the opportunity to fly out to LA for a songwriting camp. And I gotta say, during that camp, I wrote some of the best music I ever wrote in my life because I had other people around me to bounce ideas off of. Trust me, do not miss this step. Even if you're an introvert and you feel like you like your privacy, at least sometimes force yourself to work with other people. You won't regret it. All right, tip number 3. This is something that I've done quite a bit on this channel, and that's set constraints. Try to limit yourself to one synthesizer or just a few drum samples. When you do this, you force yourself to get creative when you're working with fewer resources. Some of the videos I've done on this channel where I forced myself not to use a computer, or where I only use the MPC 60 and we're recording things to tape, or I'm trying to do just a very specific genre. Sometimes I play things that I wouldn't usually think of. Sometimes it comes out pretty cool. Or if you make something that's just too weird and too out of left field, you can use interpolation and turn it into something else. Earlier in the video, we talked about listening to old and rare music, listening to different genres and using interpolation. But now I want you to take that a step further. Now I want you to actually make music in a different style than you usually do, or use a different instrument than you usually do.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
Let's say you've been making trap beats all your life, all your career. Well, now let's try a reggae beat. Let's say you've been making EDM or house or just dance music. Now let's try grabbing an acoustic guitar. Exploring new genres or instruments can instantly give you new sounds, new chord patterns, or even melodies that you never thought of before. And now you've added a new skill set, so you can either make more music in that genre, or going back to our creative interpolation, you can rework that idea into your original style. Tip number 5 might seem counterintuitive, but sometimes you just gotta take your ball and go home. Sometimes the best cure for writer's block is to just not make music, at least for a little bit. What I like to do is go for a walk, watch a movie, read a book, and I'm sure this might have happened to you before, but sometimes your best song ideas come from when you're not even making music. It might come in the shower, or you might get an idea from a movie or a show you're watching. So step away from the studio, go somewhere else, go for a hike if you got mountains or ocean near you, and just enjoy nature or something like that, and it'll really refresh your mind. It'll refresh your brain and help you to come back with a new mindset and a fresh pair of ears. Tip number 6, I'm sure you guys have heard of, but we're gonna go a little bit deeper on it, and we're talking about generating ideas from AI. First of all, I know you guys are tired of hearing me say this over and over again, but creative interpolation. Let's say I'm making an R&B track. What I'll do is I'll put in AI 70s vintage soul, something like that, and let's say it spits out some ideas for me, and then I just use interpolation. Take those chord progressions from what it spits out, and then I'll replay it and then put it in that R&B style, and then go wherever the idea takes me from there. Another way you can use it is drum loops or drum sounds. You can put in whatever genre you want. You can separate the drum track. And if you don't already know, you can actually start your own track or start your own idea, and then you can upload it to AI and have it add things. I think this is great technology. As long as you're using it creatively and you're tweaking it or you're changing it in some way, it's great. I guarantee you, if AI was around when the greats were around and in their prime, like Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder, I can guarantee you that they would be using AI in some form or fashion. All right, so there's 6 quick ways of overcoming writer's block, producer's block, or just being burnt out in general. So remember, everybody gets stuck. The key is having a toolbox of strategies like listening to old music, collaborating with a friend, or sometimes just walking away. If this helped you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and drop a comment and let me know what your favorite tip was, or let me know what your own method is for beating creative block. If you're looking for more inspiration, I'm going to leave a link to my beat making series here on the screen and down below. And now you got everything you need to never run out of ideas again. Until next time, peace.